This is my last question. I am a new father. What piece of advice would you give me?
Oh my goodness. I mean, I think you're asking. I think it's maybe bad to give people advice because like you can't know their exact situation.
Uh-huh.
So I wouldn't necessarily tell you how to, like certainly wouldn't tell anyone how to raise their kids. But I
Hmm.
would say the way I'm going through it, I'm not done, so it's not like I have like evidence of my approach.
Yeah.
But you are going to make mistakes. And if you are smart about it, you'll realize them before you compound them. You are going to mess up your kid. But if you're smart about it, you'll realize before you compound it.
Hey, what up, everybody? This is Jayton Gunter, owner of Grapes and Sand Publishing, and we have another episode of Drinking with Dads. This is a show where I give fathers their flowers. Hey, what up, everybody? This is Jayton Gunter, owner of Grapes and Sand Publishing. And yes, we're back for another episode of Drinking with Dads. I have a wonderful dad on this podcast today. This guy, I've known him. He's probably one of my oldest friends out of everybody that's been on here. I've known him probably longer. He's one of my first friends when I went to college at San Jose State. And he's a father's father. He got he got a few kids. So I look forward to getting into this with him. Just so you know, the premise of this show is I like to give fathers their flowers because I feel like we don't get enough. I feel like we don't get any, actually, to be honest with you. And this one definitely deserves their flowers. But on top of that, another premise of this show is for me, because I'm a brand new father. Guys don't like to have conversations sometimes. We're very prideful. This gives me an excuse to pick their brain and like learn from other fathers so I can be a better father going forward. So today I have Otieno Ododa over here. Goes by Ododa for the most part. And yeah, Ododa, say what's up so everybody can see who you are.
What's up? How y'all doing? Yeah, I got a few kids. You make it sound like I got a lot of kids. I got a few, more than a couple, but not
you
a lot.
started you started before all of us for the most part.
True, true.
So Ododa, today we're gonna be, of course, this is Drinking with Dads. And so we both have our own alcohol today. He's doing whiskey. Let them know what you got so they know what you're sipping on.
So I'm sipping on a Dalwhinnie Highland single malt Scotch whiskey, 15. You can't see the bottle through the blur, but it's great. It says it's the gentle spirit, and I agree.
It's one of my
Salud.
favorite from Ireland. Salute, brother. I'm in Spain today. I'm actually just did a review on this wine that's going to be dropping, or probably by this time this gets released, it'll have dropped already. This I gave it 90 plus points on this wine, so this is a really good wine. It's out of Spain, but it's not Tempranillo. It's a blend of Cabernet Sauvignon and Merlot. So and it's delicious. So this is what I'll be sipping on. It's 20 was it 2019? Yeah, 2019. It's 50-50. So 50 Merlot, 50 Cabernet Sauvignon. And this is called the Louse. And I don't know if you guys can see the label here, but there it is. You probably can't really see it,
Yeah,
but
hard to see through the blur, but whatever.
hard to see through the blur. But anyway, we're not there for that. We're here for the dads today. So let's get into it, bro. My first question always is, do you remember the last Father's Day gift you got?
I do. I do. Uh, my kids got me a set of shirts.
Okay.
My shirt said, "I'm a great dad," and I have proof. It says on the shirt.
I
And
love that.
then the kids, each of them had a shirt that said proof, proof, proof. So we all were wearing these navy blue shirts. I'm a great dad. I have proof. And then, proof is following me times
I
three,
love
basically.
I love that, bro. And so you have three children.
I do have three.
What are the sexes or the genders of the kids?
Sure. My oldest is a girl. She is 7, going on 17, but that's a whole nother story. My son is 6. And then my youngest is a girl, and she is 4.
Wow. Yeah, see, I told you guys. He got a full house over there. Did you always know that you wanted to have kids? Was this always in the cards for you? Did you always say, "Look, eventually I'm gonna have me some children"?
Oh, absolutely, 100%. Like I knew for a fact when my plan was at 25, I'm gonna have three kids or whatever. I wanted to have a lot of kids, really. I didn't have a number in mind, but I always knew it was just that's just what I'm supposed to do. But more than supposed to, I wanted to. I like kids, so
Okay,
it was definitely always in the cards.
interesting. So that's gets me to my next question. You're not a single father. I of course everybody I know most of his life, but I have to ask you so you guys know what's going on. You're not a single father. You have a girlfriend, wife. What?
I'm married. We've been married 9 years, I believe.
Okay.
Yeah. So we got married, had kids. We were both aligned. We knew kind of exactly what we wanted to do, basically.
How is it co-parenting? And what I mean, or how is it being in the house? Because normally when I've talked to parents, they have different roles, right? You have one that's kind of the disciplinary, and then one that is more on the nurturing side. Or in this new age that we have, like when we were coming up, you had one or the other. One parent did most of it, and one parent did the other most of the time, unless you're in a single household. With this new age, I've noticed that a lot of parents are taking on both roles. And I'm wondering how it works in your house. Are you more on the disciplinary side or the nurturing side, or is it kind of both you guys play off each other and balance it out?
It's a little bit of both, and it's a little bit of playing both roles. I think maybe if you were going to put it like a 60-40, I'm like 60% disciplinarian, 40% nurture, something like that. And I
Okay.
would say with my wife, it's a little bit the opposite. She's much more the nurturer and a little bit less the disciplinarian. But yeah, I think it's important. We think it's important for both of us to kind of, to certainly be aligned, be of the same mindset, but nobody
Mhm.
gets walked over and nobody's like, oh, you got to wait for so and so to get home. No, like
We handle it in the moment.
wherever we are, whoever's at home, we are the law, whichever one of
Gotcha.
us is at home. Yeah. So,
With that being said, so you guys, so let's talk about background a little bit. Do you guys come from the same kind of background of the way you were raised? Like your wife and you guys come from like a similar background, or is it two different ones? And how has that played into the rearing of your kids? How does that work?
yeah, it's oddly more similar than you would think. So my wife
Okay.
is white, I'm black. But it's oddly more similar than you might think as a result, right? So, we'll often say, my parents would have never let me do X, Y, or Z. And she's like, yeah, like my parents would never let me do it. Maybe how they would have dealt with it would be different. And of course, we grew up in different areas. She grew up kind of a little bit removed. I grew up basically a city kid with some detours and whatnot. So a little bit different, but in the core like beliefs about what children should be, how they should act, what we want for them for their lives,
Mhm.
um, we're very aligned. There's very little gap. And a lot of times the
So,
gaps are just like, oh, we've never articulated it to ourselves, much less to each other. So once we articulate it, we're like, oh, okay, cool. Here are the boundaries. So we're largely in lockstep with each other, I would say.
are you guys? Would you consider yourself a traditionalist, like as far as like the rearing up of your kid, or you give them more voice? Because I know the way we came up, it was like you heard what I said, or do what I said, or we're you're meant to be seen and not heard around
Mm-hmm.
grown folks. Are you guys kind of on that page, or you're on the other page where it's like, no, you have a voice. I want you to speak up when you feel a certain way, and you give them more autonomy to be who they are early, or you plan on doing that later? Like, are you more of a traditionalist where you'll give them that later on, but right now, no, this is what it is. This is your parameters. Don't move outside of this box, basically.
Right, right. It's a great question. So we're very much not in that traditionalist vibe.
Okay.
And there's a couple ways that shows up, right? So there are some basic things like children will be respectful, they'll be
Mm-hmm.
polite, and that's a little traditional. But
Mm-hmm.
by the same token, we need to be somewhat basically respectful and basically polite to them as well. Now, of course, there are times where we cannot, you know, things are urgent. You're jumping in the street. You're just going to get snatched out of the street,
Of
right?
course.
And for scaring me, we're going to have a long talk. But we're not spanking kids. We don't do that. So that's a little bit of a departure from the traditional for us. We definitely feel like they need to be able to express themselves, but they must learn. They have to learn kind of the rules for how people interact, right? I can't just go and be disrespectful to my boss, to my friends, to
Yeah.
my parents, etc. So there's some tradition in it,
Mm-hmm.
but I've always thought that you can't really parent exactly how your parents did because we live in a very different world.
Hell yeah.
So there's a lot that we have to like adjust. And honestly, there's a lot I didn't necessarily like about how my parents did it. And I
Mm-hmm.
thought they could have like heard me more or, like done some things. My parents were not bad necessarily, but there were, there's some things where they could have heard me or like uh, you know, I'll go in the yard and play basketball with my son or with my
Uh-huh.
girls, frankly, or play soccer. And we'll just go and we'll just play.
Have
And
some fun.
yeah, and just have some fun, right. They can jump on me and climb on me, and we can play, fight, and whatever else, and it's all good, and it's supposed to be that way, and that's not a thing that my parents
Ever
did
did.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't know if they ever knew, right? Like one of the things I remember a lot about my dad is I remember that when he was freshly shaven, I remember how his face felt, and that was just like
Uh-huh.
a great memory for me. I don't know
Mm-hmm.
if he attached any significance to that,
Cool.
but I want my children to attach some significance to that. I want them to remember what it's like for me to, pick them up and throw them on the bed, to
Mm-hmm.
like, kiss, boo-boos on their knee and whatnot. Like, I want them to remember those things. But of course, there's also got to be a little bit of tradition. A long answer, but yeah. So it's a little bit of
That's
both.
I love that. Like so. This is the thing. I don't think the generation before us showed a lot of affection. Like they
Yeah.
we know our parents loved us, right? My dad, for as old school as he is, he did like he did hug us and kiss us like when every once in a while and stuff like that. Let us know that he did love us. Even us being boys, he still was like, you need to know some like there is emotion that you're allowed to have about certain things, and then there's other things he would be really cutthroat about, which I understand. I found myself so much, and I don't know if it's I don't know, man. Like it's a different type of love with your kid, right? So like this kid, I just randomly reach down and kiss him like all the time, hug him and stuff. And I'm like, what is going on with me? Like I didn't expect to be like that. I thought it was gonna be more on the, but I probably my lady said she was laughing. She's like, you kiss him more than I do. And I was like, wait, what? And I thought about it, I was like, I probably do. I'm around him a little bit more because I'm staying at home right now and she's working.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But I just like sometimes he'll just do something and I'm just like, man, get over here, You're so cute. Get over here, little knucklehead. Or I'll see something that he does because he's very curious, and so like I'll see him looking at something, and I'll see his wheels turning the way I know how his mind works. My mind works like that. Just he'll be looking at something, and he's like in 5 minutes or 5 seconds, he's gonna go over there and try to climb that thing. I could tell he's gonna do it because I can see his wheels turn, and I'll see it, and he'll just in 5 seconds he'll be on the move, and I'm grabbing, no, 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 you get over here, and I'll kiss him like, dude, that's cute, bro. You know what I mean? So I get it. It's really
Yeah.
interesting. Your own kid,
It
man. I didn't
doesn't.
expect that with myself. Man. I did.
Yeah. And same, exactly the same. I love my children, and I think you made a good point. Like we didn't talk. My parents were not. I knew my mom loved me for sure, but it wasn't a thing that we said daily. I
Yeah,
tell my kids 18 times a day.
me too.
Not, and it's not like a test. It's not like I need to hear it back. I want them to know. And yeah, oh my goodness, I kissed when they were babies all the time. And
It's hard, bro.
even now, I'll be sitting with my son again. And I talk about sons because it's easy for you as one of two sons of like it's easy for us to be like, oh no, we're supposed to be a certain way.
Yeah,
But and I want my son to have maybe a different experience than just you've got to be hard all the time.
yeah,
Sometimes he just says something, goofy or whatever, and I'm just like, come here. Like
yeah.
every night before bed, I'm just gonna grab him by the face and be like, hey, I love you, little boy. Go to sleep. Right? It'll be a little bit, maybe a little, and I do this with my daughter actually, is my oldest daughter. My youngest is still a little young, but my oldest, get over here. I love you. Go to sleep. A
Go to
little
sleep.
gruff, but
They
you
know it
need to
though. They
hear
can
it.
feel it.
Yes. Yes.
In the early, you're talking about your oldest child, right? So in the early days with her, before she came, did you guys were you guys plan like was this a planned thing or was it like oh she's pregnant? Okay, so with that being said, this answers my this gets me into my next question because this was going to be my follow up. This is perfect.
Hmm.
Um, because you planned it, did you before the baby came out already have it set up like okay we're financially set? I know exactly if she does this, I'm gonna be ready for this. Were you already kind of? Did you feel like? And I know things change after the baby comes. Did you feel like you were mentally, financially set before the baby came, or was it like, or were you like, I don't know what they were doing. I'm just hoping that we have it together. Were you like
Right.
secure? Stay tuned. Drinking with Dads will be right back. The Dream Team are a manhood development program that plays basketball. Their focus is getting the boys to be better individuals and leaders in the community while making them excellent basketball players. While most AAU programs cost over $5,000 a year, they are free for families and provide uniforms, warm-ups, shoes, and educational learning events. So they need money. To donate or hear more about the program, go to www.dreamteamantioch.org. Cheers. Now back to the show. No, I mean, 'cause some people have
Um,
different approaches, you know?
yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, financially, we were good, but at the same time, you can never really know exactly how much your life is going to change and how much your finances are going to like move a little bit, and they continue to do that, right? Like,
Yeah, of course.
getting away a little bit from your question, but my kids now eat way more than they did when they were born, right? So 2 years ago, I had a two, or maybe 3 years ago, I had a 1 year old, a 3 year old, and a 5 year old. They ate like whatever. Now I'm starting to think if I have to feed five people who almost eat like adults, like, oh my goodness. And it's not like a lack of money, but it's like it's a lot more money than I thought it was going to be.
Of
So
course.
yeah. So early on, so we had a plan also. My kids are close in age. They're
Uh,
20 to 24 months apart because we were just like, this is when we're starting. Here's
mhm,
now when we need to have the next one. Here's like we had a plan for all of it. So we were ready financially. We were ready from a things point of view.
uh,
I mean, emotionally, I was like, oh yeah, you said this earlier, like, oh, it's just gonna be a kid and they'll just be in the corner. No, man,
yeah,
you take your kid home for the first time, you put them in the baby seat for the first time, and you're like,
yeah,
this is a responsibility, and
yeah,
I love it, right?
yeah.
It's so weird. It's so weird to have that change. Yeah, we were ready, but we weren't ready for all of the changes that come with, like having a newborn and an infant and a toddler. Like we had to adjust because it was new to us.
Well, with that first child, going back to her,
Mm-hmm.
when she got home that first year of her life, what was one of
Mm-hmm.
the things that really just threw you off? Like you're just like, oh, I didn't even know this was going to happen, or this is like the biggest surprise to me, or one of the biggest surprises to me.
That's a good question. Um,
Because I mean, everybody has a plan until they get punched in the mouth, right? So,
oh, right, right.
so
Yeah. I think the first the first surprise is how much personality they come out with, like out the womb. They just have like personalities. I always thought that, like it's just a baby, and then you pour in all the personality.
yeah,
Excuse me, no. They have
no,
different thoughts. They have a different plan on that from very, very early. So
yeah,
very early. So 6 months in, probably earlier than that, the 6 months in, they're just like, no, this is what I want. This is how I eat. This is how
yeah.
I do this. A year old, okay, no, you will not be telling me blah blah
Well,
blah. Like this is how I'm gonna eat. This is when we need to leave the house. I'll tell you when I'm ready to leave the park, etc. So I
yeah.
think that's the thing that really surprised me for sure with the first one, like that whole process. Yeah.
The personality thing is hilarious to me because there are some points where I'm looking at it like, okay, I can see where like I've apologized. I don't know how many times to my dad, and I
Mm-hmm.
apologize to. I really have. I've apologized to my dad for how I was, and then also I've apologized to Ed, EJ for how I am because some of the things that he does is me, and I know it is. I can see it, and I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, oh Lord, I'm sorry. That not wanting to go to sleep thing, the refusing to go to bed thing, I still do that to this day. That's for me. And he is a fighter. He will not. You try to put his head down, he goes like this. Nope. His eyes are closed. He's doing like he's nodding off, but he won't go to sleep. He refuses.
Right.
He'll be fighting you to tooth and nail until you have to really like rock him to sleep. Um, that's funny. That's funny that you say that about like the personality because that's definitely he just I see her personality in him a lot too. But it's fun to watch because this some of that stuff has nothing to do with either one of us. That's just
Right.
him. Like
Right.
that's just who he is, and it's dope. What is one of the toughest situations any of your kids like pick? Which I know it's probably been tough situations with everyone, but what's one situation that you remember that was one of the toughest for you with your kids? Like whether they got hurt or maybe they had like a blowout diaper or whatever, something that or you're on a plane, whatever it is. Um, any situations that you felt that were like tough situation to be in?
I mean, that's a great question. I One of the great things about parenthood is that if you're doing it the way I do, I don't even know if it's a common thing, but a lot of those bad situations just disappear. Like, I think we're just like programmed with just whatever, like, okay, cool, big diaper, whatever. Like, okay,
Yeah,
that's yesterday. I got to deal with
yeah,
today's blow up, right? Like today's whatever. Um, and I definitely live with like uh like, oh my goodness. Every time, for example, my wife calls me, I'm like, okay, who's dead? Like, that sounds very morbid, but I'm like, which one of them broke everything? Right. Or if I leave them alone in the yard for a little bit, I'm like, okay, which one of them has stabbed the other one, not meaning to? So I just like think about it. And measured against that, nothing, literally nothing. Now, we've had things like when my oldest was 8 or 9 months old, she got really sick,
mm-hmm.
and we were just like, we don't know what's going on. She's got a
Mm-hmm.
fever. She can't sleep. We had to take her to a hospital. We were out
Oh
of
no,
state, and we were just like, we don't know what's going on. And that's kind of just like new parent. In hindsight, it was just like, you're a new parent. You just need to figure out like these things. But we
but
took
you
her to the
know,
emergency room, and she just had like whatever was going around. This is before COVID, but she just had a thing, and they didn't even give us medicine. They were just like, she's okay. If you need to bring her back, bring her back. They might have given us something,
yeah.
but the next day she was fine.
I'm sure
But
you and your wife were like, wait, what are you telling me that she's okay? Like, what is something? I know you guys are flipping out when she
right,
was saying.
in a way, but in a way we were just like, okay, if the doctors don't see anything, then okay, we can take it down a
Trust me,
notch, because we were
trust
up here like,
me. Of
she's
course.
this is terrible. We gotta just like, we need IVs. We're gonna have to take
Yeah.
like fly or something. And they were just like, she's probably fine. Here's a prescription you can fill.
Uh,
Give her some medicine, whatever. And she was fine. Like, she's
yeah.
was healthy, whatever. She's never had anything major. But that first one was just like, it was just like, oh my goodness, there's something wrong with my child, and I'm powerless.
Yeah.
I can't do anything.
Of
I
course.
can't
It's
do
tough.
anything about it, right? Like,
Mhm.
I have to just wait for a doctor to tell me what's going on. So that was hard for sure. But the first one made it easier. For the second, we're just like, oh, are you sick? Are you bleeding? No, you're good.
You're good. I've noticed a consistent theme with parents, like at least for the first year. One thing you said was that uh, something happened, a blowout or something like that. You're already on to the next day. Like you don't even think about that anymore. Every parent I
Hmm.
talk to, and I try to ask them, like, the first 6 months of your kid, like, do you like what happened? Was there anything, like, any advice? Every single one says, I don't remember anything about the first 6 months. They said I have. It was so bad, it was so crazy, and it was so irrational that I just put it out of my mind. So, you asking me, and I really have blocked it out. I don't know. And this has been like I'm talking about 15 different parents I've talked to. Their first 6 months with their kids, they've all said the same thing. Yo, the first 6 months, dude, I was in dreamscape. We weren't sleeping. We don't know
No
what was going on.
sleep,
There's
right?
no sleep. We don't know what's going on. This little human is relying on us. We're trying not to rip each other's heads off, dealing with this kid,
Right?
because of the
Right?
relationship. You know?
Yeah.
So it's just
Yeah.
funny to hear that coming from you too. You're like the
Yeah,
16th
man.
person that said that. So
Yeah, man.
we're talking about like maybe a kind of a tough situation. What's one of the funniest situations one of your kids have put you in? Stay tuned. Drinking with Dads will be right back. I just released a new show called Drinking with Dads. And this is a platform where I give fathers their flowers. I have some merch to back that up. So if you have a wonderful father in your life or you're looking for some cool father gear for yourself, go to my online store, fruitandglassgear.etsy.com, and check out what we got there. Cheers. Now back to the show.
Interesting. This also happens probably daily.
You got 3 kids, bro. Like I know, I get it.
Every week there'll be something. Our kids are adorable and a little bit precocious.
Mhm.
Man, it's hard to pick a funny thing. You know, they'll like walk up to my kids are very like comfortable. We live in a good neighborhood. There's
Mhm.
like a lot of like people who know my kids on our street, and so it's a very safe sort of
So everybody
welcoming
knows each
environment
other.
in that regard. Yeah. Everybody knows each other on the street for sure. So my kids will go and here's one. So my kids will like trick or treat my son the first time, not maybe not the first time, but he was a little bit older. I don't know, 3 or 4. Will trick or treat. I
Uh,
think the first door he knocked on, they opened the door, he walked right.
wait, what?
He walked right in the house. Like he didn't know what you were supposed to do. And people were being nice to him. And he knows once you knock, you walk in the house. So this dude
So
walks in the house. And I'm just like, "Yeah, come back here." And my wife is like, "Come back here." And of course, the owners of the house are just like, they're just laughing. This is
they
hilarious to
crack it
them.
up, of course.
They're cracking up. They're just like,
Yeah.
yeah. And if they have kids, it's even better because they're like, ha ha, like you're going through what we went through in the best way. But yeah, my kids will just like, and it's not even just the one time. They have done this multiple times. Just walking out. Wait, no. We're not here to visit. Just get the candy and run. Like, let's get the candy and go. Like, yeah. So that I think that's the
So
funniest thing I can remember.
they're like, well, he walks in, he's like, "Hey, Billy, what's going on, Tommy? Hey, Sheila." So where we watching the show? Like they're just walking in the house like he owns the place. I
Right,
love it.
right.
I
You
love
hey, you got Caillou on. Hey, we're the pal. What I don't know, whatever puppy dog pals or whatever they watch. Yeah, you got that on. Okay, cool. I got my bottle. Let's go. Like
it.
what?
So, so I'm gonna give you a chance to gush a little bit about your kids.
Oh Lord.
With each one of them, what is one thing that makes you proud of them? Like maybe it's a personality, maybe they're good at a sport or something. Uh, Anything that you like specifically to each one of your kids. Which one or which thing makes you proud of them? What's something that you can just look at and be like, damn, that's such a good quality they have, or they're so good at that score. I love that they're that determined, like something like that, you know?
Gotcha. I think about my kids in terms of like their superpowers, and
Yeah,
I
that's what I
talk to
mean.
them about this, and I want to make sure that we're nurturing it. Now, superpower is not something necessarily that you're maybe
Sure.
something that you're born with, but it's
Mm-hmm.
also something that you have to grow and nurture.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to give them like we want to give them like a growth mindset. They shouldn't be like, this is my superpower and I was born with it. No,
Yeah.
it's a superpower, but if you nurture it, if you grow it, if you feed it, then it becomes something even more. So we talk in terms of like, yes, this is your natural gift, but also, did you work hard? Did you do blah blah blah? So they're working on being hard workers. They're young, so whatever.
Mhm.
My oldest, I think so. When I think about what I'm proud of, I think about their superpowers. So
Yeah, of
my
course.
oldest, I think her superpower is really like language. She's
Mm,
in a Spanish immersion program.
dope.
She's 7 now, and she speaks Spanish like she was born in Mexico City. I
Really?
cannot keep up with her. Yes, 100%. She speaks Spanish like, and it actually kind of it blows her teachers away a little bit in terms of like,
That's awesome.
and she's just in the second grade, but she speaks Spanish like she's a native speaker.
Wow.
And she's just really, really good at it. It's weird that she doesn't know that she's good at other things or she doesn't recognize it, but she's young. She'll figure it out.
Yeah,
But
check it out.
that's her superpower for sure. For my son, it is he's the most like me. He's precocious in that he just memorizes all kinds of stuff. So he can tell you every country on the planet. He
Yeah.
can tell you its rough, like approximate size, like where it is on the list. So this is the largest, this is the 190th one. He can
Wow.
tell you the capital of every country and every state in the United States.
What?
He can tell you all the stars in the, like all the like anything about planets, stars, whatever.
So he inherited your
Um,
brilliance.
he is smart. I don't know if I'd call me brilliant, but
Oh,
he is
cut it out.
definitely
We've always
he's
called you
definitely
brilliant. You've been a brilliant homeboy for a long time, bro.
Hey, fair, fair. I'm bad at taking compliments too. That's another one of my superpowers. But he is a lot like I was when I was a kid, just like a sponge. You tell him something, that's it. He remembers it. His latest thing has been chemistry, so he knows all of the elements on the periodic table. He knows all
What?
the atomic numbers.
He's
He's
five.
probably he's five. He's now six, but yeah, he's not. He actually is just like, I don't want to go to school. I can teach myself all this stuff. He's cried about this. Like, I don't want to go to school anymore. I'm bored of school because he's in kindergarten. Yeah, he's in kindergarten this year, and he's just like, they do the same thing. Oh, he can read at like a fifth grade level right now, and he's just like, they do the same letter. They're just like going over the sounds of
So he's
letters,
bored.
and he's like,
He's
I'm
bored.
bored. Please don't send me to school. I can teach myself. So yeah,
That's awesome.
he's a trip for sure. My youngest, I think her superpower is yet to show itself,
Mhm.
primarily because most of her life has been competing with two older siblings.
Yeah.
So in a way, maybe her superpower is just being way older and more like beyond her years
Mhm.
than she should. Like she tries to keep up with them. She learned how to ride a bike earlier in her life than any of the rest of them did. She was 2.5, and she was like, if they know how to ride a bike,
I'm
I
gonna
know how to
learn
ride
that.
a bike, and nobody will tell me different. So she's hit a lot of milestones earlier than them
Uh-huh.
because they're around and she has to keep up. Uh, and so that's been really good for her. She's very stubborn. That's not a thing I want to encourage as a superpower, but I think she's going to be, a strong Black woman, and I love that for her. So, um, yeah, I love them all. I'm proud of all of them for sure.
That's dope. The whole keeping up is something that I'm noticing already with him. He's very stubborn and he's very like focused. So, it's only been 7 months, but I'm already seeing stuff that he's doing, and I'm sitting there like, dude, you got to relax a little bit. Because, for example, he has a cousin who's a year now. They were met each other for the first time about 3 months ago. So he was 4 months, and his cousin was sitting up, and Emil was like, he was trying to sit up like straight, without any help or whatever. And he was getting
Mm-hmm.
so frustrated. He was watching his cousin doing it, and he was trying to do it the whole time. And every time he like trip over, he was getting really, really angry. And so I'm like looking at him like, why are you getting so mad? And he's like that with everything. If he sees
Mm,
him walking around, he wants to walk. So like this kid now is taking steps. He's standing and taking steps at 7 months. And the way he was actually doing it at 6 months, standing a little bit. Now he's like letting go and like standing there for a little bit. It'll take like a 1 or 2 steps and he'll fall. He just
right.
he's just one of those kids where if he sees you doing it, why can't I do it? Type of thing. So I get that. Like it's really cool to watch, but it's also like it's okay to be a kid. Like you're figuring things out. You don't got to be so hard on yourself. And
For sure. For sure.
honestly, I don't know where he gets that from because we're both a little bit like that. Her a little bit
Which
more than I
one?
am. Yeah, she's
Right.
very hard on herself. So I want to blame her, but I also when I was that age, when I was younger, before I got into college, I was definitely very hard on myself about everything. So
Mm, mm, mm.
he could have gotten honestly from both of us. Um, so my next question: you guys have 3 children, right?
Yep.
You have to have a time to release. What is your thing that you do that's just for you? Not have nothing to do with your wife, has nothing to do with your kids. What is something that is just for you that makes you happy, puts a smile on your face, and if everything's going crazy and you step away and do that thing, you can come back with a smile on your face. Stay tuned. Drinking with Dads will be right back.
I'm the author of the Man Book. The Man Book was created so that every man has a chance to become great. When you look at the stats, men that grew up without a father have a harder chance trying to become great because of their father's choices and their father's choices. The Man Book is here to break that cycle so that every man has that chance.
The Man Book, helping boys become men with something as simple as tying a tie. Also being a father, fashion, how to love. This is a book that you need on your shelf. It will help you and it will help people that you love. Get it by going to dreamteamantioch.org. Cheers. Now back to the show.
Ooh, that's a great question. It's two things for me. One is basketball for sure. I play basketball probably. I'll go to the gym by myself, just get up shots, do some little drills, whatnot, and just really. And I've been doing that actually now at this point for probably a couple of years. It was harder, with the kids being younger, but now that they're like a little bit more, like I can kind of get out depending on, where my work is or whatnot. So that's been really critical. It's been a little bit like therapy for me, just like get out an hour, just a hard run, a good sweat. And then I'm back home and I can be, like a better just human being, partner, parent, etc. And then the other thing has been very sort of recent in the last year or so. It's related to things that I want to do with my kids is I've started to build more stuff. I've collected power tools. I've got like some tools that my kids can use. And I want that because I want them to also have a little bit of like be able to connect their imaginations to the things that they can build and create. So yes, exactly. So so I have a 3D printer, and I printed a boat for my kids, and I got them like the app on their phone, so on their not phone, but on their iPad. So now they can like design things if they want to 3D print them. So that's a way for me to also have a conversation with them and to get them thinking a little bit more about like STEM or like building things, being engineers or whatnot. But for me, I can also do those things. So I'll go in the garage, like I'll get home for work, say hi to the kids, whatever. They're playing in the backyard. I go to the garage. I'm in there for 45 minutes, just like, let me saw this thing. Let me cut this. Let me put this together. Let me plan this. Let me, cut this out. And sometimes they come in and see me. Sometimes they want to talk, but sometimes it's just me and the thing. And I love that, just that I'm creating something with my own hands. I do that for hours. I don't usually get hours.
Yeah,
it's
of course.
Another way for me that I'm like, okay, cool. Now that's another release for me. So
it's crazy. Yeah. It's crazy you say that because like in college you were like that too. Like you were the computer, you would take computers apart. I remember going to your dorm. He was an RA, by the way, guys. So like he was supposed to be in charge of all of us, but he stayed in his room a lot. And when you went to his room, there was a lot of computers, a lot of computer parts all over the place, and he would just be taking things apart, putting them back together. And I was always like that. I was fascinated by that. You'd be in there for hours, man. Like we'd be like, okay, we're gonna go have lunch at this time or whatever. Yeah, I'll meet up with you guys. And you'd be in there just getting down. Something you also said that I thought was really cool with the basketball thing. I was serious about basketball when I was in high school, a little bit in college, but I lost a lot of my love for basketball for years. I stopped playing. I just didn't, it wasn't my thing anymore. I was really focused on the writing stuff. And I was like, I've always been writing, but I really got focused on it in college and like my senior year of high school. And so I stopped playing for a long time. And I used to dunk. I used to do all types of crazy stuff. I used to love it. It's been since Emil's been born, it is a daily thing that I do now. I go out to we walk in the stroller because we need outside time. So I take them in the stroller to the gym. I go work out in the gym, and then there's a basketball court right outside of it. And I'll go up there and I'll just get some shots up. I'll do some drills. My goal is to be able to dunk. I want to be able to dunk again. I've like 40 pounds heavier than I used to be for when I used to bang out all the time. So I've been doing these exercises to try to get my calves and my thighs and everything like good for somebody that's over 40 years old trying to do this. I've been watching this guy who's on YouTube that's 45. And he said the reason I can still play like I'm 25 is because I do these exercises. So I've been doing it, and really it's been helping me out because I'm up there again. I just can't dunk yet, but I'm up there again. So but it's like therapy. Like I love getting up. I love just sitting out there. I throw some music or a podcast on, and he's sitting in his stroller watching me, and I'm sitting up there just doing drills and stuff, and it feels good. I haven't played against anybody in years, but like it just feels good to be out there by myself, just shooting around and stuff. So I get that. So you have that's your space for yourself. I've talked to people, a lot of fathers, and they've said that some of them have tribes and some of them don't. do you have a tribe? Do you have a group of guys who are other fathers that if something's going on, you can go to them? Maybe it's a group chat. Maybe it's just, you guys just talk amongst each other when there's a specific problem and somebody's already gone through it before. Do you have like a kind of a tribe around fatherhood that you use? And if you don't, is there a specific reason why not, or it just is what it is?
These are such good questions. In a way, yes, but in a way, no. It's not like anything sort of clear or sort of like clearly defined, but there are certainly a lot of dads that I talk to. So there's, one dad that, our oldest daughters were the same age, and we met randomly a couple times, like twice, and then our spouses met. And then we're just like, look, this is meant to be, and we've been friends ever since. There's a couple dads that my kids go to school now. Some of those dads, I'm like, okay, cool. We'll get lunch every once in a while, and and talk, or our kids will get together, so we're getting together. So we've been able to build some friendships that way. Yeah, and then of course there's the crew. It's a little bit different. Not all of them are dads you are, but so. And then also we have some little groups around, like the hospital we're with the Kaiser health system, and they have a thing where they set you up as a first-time parent with a group called a centering group. And we've managed to stay really close with those folks. Three, I think, of the kids, including ours, 3 or 4 of them were born on the exact same day in the same hospital.
That's so
cool. Yeah. So we've been able to stay connected. So it's a little different. We're friendly, we're friends, some of us, right? But a lot of it is a connection around the kids, right? It's a good group. But they're people that you wouldn't normally have met. So they also bring like a little bit of a different perspective. So it's not exactly like I can just be like, all right, here's my WhatsApp group, and it's like the dads. But there's people I can be like, hey, is your kid just going crazy? Like, is she watching this? Are they watching that? Like, are you hearing? My daughter came home from kindergarten one day and was like, somebody was talking about Squid Game. You're in kindergarten. How have you heard about Squid Game? What?
Yep.
She didn't know anything else about it. But then I can, go talk to other dads and be like, hey, are your kids? Is this happening to you? Like, are you blah, blah, blah? So yeah, it helps you like benchmark, and also just be like, has your daughter or son lost their mind? You can ask those questions. So yeah, in a way, I have that. Yeah.
Okay. I just thought of something before I get into my next question. Because your kids are, and it makes all the sense to me. I'm not surprised about this, but a lot of all 3 of your kids seem like they're a little bit more advanced for their age mentally. If your kids had, this is just a random question, you can say yes or no, and I'll take it out if I need to. But I'm just curious, if your kids have the ability to go to a next grade, because they're like, if they can like move up in grade because of their mental capacity, are you guys the type of parents that be like, go ahead, or are you guys the type of parents that are like, no, I want you to be your age at this, be who you be at the age you are with your peers, so that you're not moving too fast? Stay tuned. Drinking with Dads will be right back. I've just created a show called Drinking with Dads, and I'm a wine dad. Like a regular dad, but aged. To pick up your own V-neck, go to the link in my bio or fruitandglassgear.etsy.com. Cheers. Now back to the show.
That's a good question. And we've actually been talking about that with my son, because like I said, he's been complaining a little bit, like, I'm bored in school. We've talked about it. We would absolutely move him, but we want to think about it. There's, both components, right, to being a kid. There's the social and the psychological aspect, and then there's the academic aspect.
Okay.
We knew, just sort of being like kids, having our kids in public schools, that we'd probably be able to get them to be a little bit more advanced. We didn't know it would be like this. We'd get them to be a little bit more advanced, but we also, the trade-off for us was they're in this Spanish immersion program, and so that's what they're getting from the school that we cannot give them.
Gotcha.
But my wife's like a math teacher, right? Like, I'm reasonably smart. Like, we're going to be able to get them to do, but we're going to be able to get them to do.
Go ahead.
we'll
I'm
be
sorry. I
able.
didn't get to
No, it's
that.
all good. It's all good. Well, but we knew we would be able to get them to be, like they would be able to keep up no problem, basically. But we could not have planned for, especially my son being way advanced. And my oldest daughter is also super advanced. She just hides it more.
Hmm.
Just to get to your question, she hides it. But like for my son, we've been like, that's an option, right? Like he can do what my daughter does in second grade. He can do her math. Absolutely. His
Wow.
Spanish isn't there
But
quite,
every,
but
yeah,
it would get there. And also, he's just not mature enough. He's
that's what I'm about to say.
just as a person, he's just
Yeah.
not mature enough.
That's
But
what I
then
was
there's
going to ask
also,
you about the
yeah,
social
go
part.
ahead.
You know what I mean? No,
Yes,
that's
yes.
yeah.
Just the other thing though is that in my mind, there's a little bit of a window in which you can do it
Mhm.
because let's say they go to the same school all 12 years of their lives. Like it's kind of hard to be like, this year I was in fifth grade. Now I'm in sixth grade, but I know all the fifth graders because that was my age group, right? So in my mind, you'd want to do it when they're young. You don't
Uh-huh.
want to necessarily move them when they're older. But then there's also the other thing. I had some friends I used to play basketball with a long time ago, and one of the dads, I think, was a coach. One of the guys was a dad and a coach, and he was like, you want your kids to be the biggest ones, right? So when they go and play like whatever level of basketball, you don't need
Mhm.
them to be the runt, right? You want them to
Yeah.
be the biggest kid. Why we rush our kids through school anyway? If they're going to be a little bit older than everyone else, cool. They will dominate on the soccer field, basketball court, tennis court, golf course, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Like let them do that. I never really thought about like that balance of like, yeah, if they're precocious, if they're advanced for their age, that creates a problem. So we would absolutely move them if that was like the only option.
Uh-huh.
We're trying to explore other options before we go do that, basically.
Yeah, maybe like an outside like education thing that he can go to that
Right.
stimulates him. I got you. I got
Uh-huh.
that's, yeah, that's
Exactly.
smart. I get
Exactly.
that. So a little bit deeper question. As you were growing up, was your father in your life? Was your father like a primary person that like he was in the house or whatever? And piggybacking off of that, if he was, what kind of advice did he give you? A piece of advice that has helped you with your children? If he wasn't in the house with you, then if did you have another father figure that gave you a piece of advice that has helped you out with your kids?
Sure. Yeah. So my dad was around. I'm a child of divorce. My parents got divorced early in my life. They shared custody, so it was. I always knew. I mean, I spent a lot of time with my dad and a lot of time with my mother. Spent a lot of time with my stepdad as well. Um, and so he was certainly in my life when I was younger. Our relationship wasn't great exactly, and so uh, what I would say there is there are a lot of great things I took from my relationship with my dad because of
Mhm.
how I felt. But there are also some things that I took that were very much like, I will not have this happen in my family. For example, I'm not getting divorced. Like, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to
Yeah,
do
so
what it takes. But I also want to do it in a way that's not like, I'm only here for the kids. Like, I don't want to do
yeah,
that exactly.
you want to work on your relationship. You want to make sure
But I
you guys
want
are
to,
good.
yes,
Yeah.
yes. So to your question, it's really like I think people can sometimes parent exactly how they were parented
Mhm.
or opposite how they were parented. So if you got whooped as a kid, you're like, oh, let me whoop my kids.
Tearing my kid up.
Or it's like, oh, I got whooped as a kid and I hated it. So I'm not going to ever discipline
Never
my
do
kid at
that. Yeah.
all. And you're
It's true.
like, wait, don't not discipline them. But also, you don't have to beat them, right? Like,
Yeah.
there's a middle ground. So I try
Yeah.
to be very measured in that. And so I take, my dad was very much like, pushed for excellence,
Mhm.
yes, but not at their expense. Because sometimes for me, he was like, "Oh no, you will be excellent, or you will do it again and again and again." I'm like, "Okay, cool. No, we don't have to do that, right?"
Yeah.
Or there was some great times again. You know, the closeness that I got with my dad, even when he wasn't really necessarily thinking about it,
Mhm.
I'd make a point to do that.
Uh-huh.
Um, my dad was very encouraging of like my academic pursuits.
Mhm.
Uh, I got swim lessons early when I was a kid, like super early. So yeah, there's some things that I do as a direct result of what my dad did,
Got you.
and then there are some things that I do also as a direct result, but opposite the way he did them, basically. Or
Okay.
I think more about them. Yeah.
Is there something that either you took from him, like specifically with the raising of your kids, or maybe from your stepfather? Like, is there like
Uh,
a specific, maybe say told? I mean, like they actually talked to you, like said something to you that you have like, this is something that this is gonna help me out with my kids whenever I
no,
have.
not really. They never
No,
really. I never talked with either of them really about anything related to kids exactly. uh, it's funny that occasionally
mhm.
I'll say something. I'll hear my stepdad's voice more often come out of my mouth. I'll say words and I'm like, oh
Yeah,
shit. Like he used to say that. Or this happens more with my mom, but I'll say something. Oh, you know how you said earlier that you sometimes you apologize to your parents? Like I'm
yeah,
like, oh, that's what she meant. Like
yep,
I put it together in the moment. I'm like, that's
yep.
why she told me this or that thing. So
Random calls to my pops out of nowhere. Like I just call him,
right.
yo, what's going on, Dad? How you doing? So I need to apologize for something. He's like, oh, dang, what happened this time?
Hey, those moments, there'll be more and more of those.
I'm like, Dad, you were more of a wonderful father than I even thought you were. Like you were
Right.
amazing. Because I'm like,
Right.
wow, the stuff you have to
Yeah,
deal with
man.
us. Wow. So
Yeah.
this is my last question. I am a new father. What piece of advice would you give me?
Oh my goodness. I mean, I think that's you're asking. I think it's maybe bad to give people advice because like you can't know their exact situation.
Uh-huh.
So I wouldn't necessarily tell you how to, like certainly wouldn't tell anyone how to raise their kids. But I
Hmm.
would say the way I'm going through it, I'm not done, so it's not like I have like evidence of my approach.
Yeah.
But you are going to make mistakes. And if you are smart about it, you'll realize them before you compound them. You are going to mess up your kid. But if you're smart about it, you'll realize before you compound it. I have yelled at my kids.
Mhm.
I have, told my kids, you know what, just get out of here. Just leave me alone. Just go away.
Yeah.
Not the best moves, but you are a human being and you're allowed to be like,
Feel how yeah.
you know what? You are pissing me off right now. I don't say
Yeah.
that. I would never say that to my kids. But if you do,
Yeah.
you can forgive yourself. Like I think the point is just to just iterate toward being a better parent, right?
Gotcha.
So if today you're like, look, I was about to strangle this little, that's okay. That's okay. It's cool. I mean, that's actually maybe a second part is like, I tell my kids, you know what, you're really being, and I tell them what they're being,
Yeah.
this is aggravating right now. Like you're repeating yourself and you haven't said blah, blah, blah. I'm not brutal or mean with it, but it's
You're stating the
forward, right?
fact. Yeah, you're
Right.
stating the fact.
Yes, I'm stating the fact, I'm treating them like they're not adults, but like they're like separate people
Yeah.
who need to be told, who need to be given feedback, right?
Yeah.
And sometimes I'm just like, when it's just me and my wife, I'll be like, that little, like, oh my, I was about to, no, I was never going to.
Of
But
course, but
sometimes
in
they
your
will
head,
just
you're like,
push. And so it's cool. It's okay to just be like, it's okay to not like your kids all the time. You
yeah.
love them, but you don't
Uh-huh.
have to like them all the time.
Yeah.
And when you don't like them, maybe you make mistakes. Don't make the big ones, of course, right? But if you make a mistake, you can go back. And I think even making the mistake and telling your kid, you know what? I messed up. I took away this thing from you, but I was in a place, I was annoyed because you did this, that, and the other thing.
Yeah.
Let's try this again, right? You can always come back from it, whether it's, I've never hit my kids. We don't believe in spanking kids
Yeah.
and spanking our kids. So this is fully hypothetical, but if I slap my kid, that would be a long, a far like distance for me to go. It's not it's bad. Let's be clear.
Yeah.
I think that would be bad to slap your child slap anybody across the face.
Yeah.
But I think you can come back from it.
From that, of
You
course.
should
Yeah.
never feel like, oh my God, I've ruined my kid. That's it. Like you
Yeah.
will ruin your kid.
Yeah.
But like no matter what you do, you're giving them your imperfections too. But as
Yeah.
long as you can just be like, hey, you know what? I'm gonna be a better dad tomorrow. And maybe a little bit better after that. I think that's the best thing you can do.
I love that. I love it. I'm gonna
Remember,
take
you're
that.
human, and
Yeah.
they're annoying sometimes. Yeah.
Yeah, I can imagine. Every guy I've talked to that has a son, every single one, like there's hardly even any exceptions, has said that eventually your son's going to hit an age, and he's going to test you. He's going to hit this age where he thinks he's tough, and he's going to like come at you sideways. And the thing is, he doesn't know who his father was before you were his father. And so sometimes you got to reel in that person you were before you were his father without snapping. Because I was thinking about it and I was like, yeah, that's so true. I was a chill. We got into trouble, but I was very respectful of my parents and I was very chill compared to my brother.
Mm.
But I'm the oldest, and I definitely tried to puff my chest out at my dad when I was a certain. I remember, and he put me in the wall. So it's like because I know this, and I know that every father I've talked to says their son is trying to do this to them. I am not looking forward to because I. Okay, so let me be really honest. I call my son. Oh God, I shouldn't even say this. I call him little ball of rage because no, seriously, he's the sweetest kid. He is a wonderful. He's a happy, happy, happy baby. When he's mad, he goes from 0 to 100 really quick, and it just escalates. It goes from 0 to 100, and it just keeps on. And there's nothing you can do. Gotta wait it out. He just gets really angry. And I can see this kid as much as I'm gonna be teaching him meditation. We're gonna be doing yoga together. Like, I'm not even joking. I'm already trying to figure out a game plan to deal with this temper because I had it when I was his age. So I'm trying to figure out a game plan to deal with this temper. And so I'm gonna have him in yoga and all this stuff. But I'm just hoping that I could bypass that time where he puts his chest out at me because I was a different person before I was his father, and I don't want to have to do what my dad did to me. You know what I mean? So it's just something that it's in the back of my mind because I like without doubt every single person I've talked to that's a man said they either tested their father or as a father they've been tested by their son, and I'm just like,
so a couple things I would say there. I mean, I think my daughter tests me, my oldest especially, is just like, and for whatever reason, I think it's because we give her a lot of latitude. She's just like, I hate you. You're stupid. What? And I think about, you know how you think about like those words, you know, that meme online where somebody says something and then suddenly they're in heaven. And like if you were a kid and if you can you imagine that
Bro,
you said that to your dad?
If I even thought it, like even when I puffed out my chest at my dad, it wasn't because I said anything. I just looked at him crazy and I put my chest out like I was tough. And he said, "Oh, you think you're tough?" And he put me in a wall. So I didn't even say anything.
Right. Imagine having even thought to like fix your lips to even say the ooh. But I mean, they will all test you for sure. But of course, dads and sons have a little bit of a different thing, and moms and daughters for sure. Definitely. Yeah. That said, one of the things I think it would be interesting for you, maybe this is advice as well, but one thing that worked really well for us, two things I'll say. One is baby sign language. If y'all are not on that, it's worth looking into.
Like more and
yeah. So that's great because one of the things that I've heard really makes kids angry is that they can't communicate. They can't tell you anything. They can't say, "Hey, I'm annoyed. My diaper's dirty. I'm hungry. I'm tired." Right? But if you can give them a little bit of like, "Okay, cool. I want more. You know, I want to eat." If you can give them that, maybe that will help a little bit with the anger. Maybe, right? So maybe that'll help. The other thing I would say is baby-led weaning was great for us. It's worth looking into. Baby-led weaning is basically, it's a way of feeding kids basically what you would eat, but at an appropriate like
portion.
Portion, but also like texture and hardness level for them. So as soon as they're ready, right? Like so as soon as I'm sure your son is probably starting to eat solid foods, right? Rather than giving them like purees all the time, just give them like a cooked carrot, right? A cooked carrot is a carrot, but it's soft. And it's something he can hold and he can grab and he can chew on and whatever and be like, okay, and start to understand food the way we do. And then it's also a way for them to get off formula, get off breast milk and in their own time. So both of those things that were super, super helpful for us in terms of just having our kids on a daily basis and not having to like carry bottles everywhere or carry, this type of stuff everywhere. So yeah.
I'm learning that she worked at Challenger for private school for over 20 years. So this is the stuff that she's been on. And I'm like, but he's getting like, for me, I don't like to see my kid getting all messy and stuff. It's just a natural. and I like want to clean him up. She's like, no, he needs to feel. And so I'm learning.
He's learning. Yes.
And he's like getting all mad. He's having pasta and stuff all over the place. And you know what I mean? And for me, I just want to clean him up every single time. But she's like, no, 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 let him feel it. And I'm like, okay, I'm learning on the fly. So these are little things. What you're saying is very interesting because that's exactly how she is kind of showing me. And I thought I knew because I pretty much helped raise my youngest brother. He's 15 years younger than me. So for the first 3 years of his life, I was at home taking care of him, like changing diapers, all that stuff. This is a new style of parenting that I'm learning on the fly.
Yeah,
so it's very interesting.
For sure.
But
for sure.
Lastly, bro, I want to thank you so much for being on this podcast with me, for even like having taken the time out of your day to be on here with me, because I got a lot of gems from you. I really did. I see me and you talk about other stuff, but I don't get to talk to like really pick your brain about parenting. And you have a lot of stuff that I didn't even know, bro. I was like sitting over here writing notes in my phone, like, okay, I'm gonna do this. So that's a good idea. You know what I mean? So Thank you so much for that. I want to cheers to you really quick too. Give you your flowers, man. Salute to you for being such an amazing parent, man, and having 3 kids, 2 daughters too. Jesus Christ. Salute,
man. Karma. I don't know what it is.
And for everybody else, we had a wonderful discussion. Everybody go salute my boy Ododa. And until next time, guys, cheers.
Cheers.